Hi everyone. Today's video is very special. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. I have downloaded 130 identical files on both Torrent and Usenet, and I'm going to compare the results and also the overall experience. So I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to role play as somebody who starts fresh and is a tech savvy person, so he knows the software, he knows where to find stuff, he knows how to set up things really quickly. But I also invested a reasonable amount of time and money to get those things going. Also, this is going to be an unbiased review of my overall experience. So first thing first, here's the results. So Torrents got 122 of the files that I wanted out of 130, and Usenet got the entire 130 files overall. As I said, those are the results, but I'm going to talk in this video about my overall experience and a deep dive of what happened when I got those files, what the content was available, the quality available, the speed, price, time, and much more. If we start with content, first of all, on torrents, what happened is at every search, I had about 30 results of torrents per files. I got mostly 1080p or 720p files available. The bitrate or the overall data for each video was about a gigabyte per hour. So this is 2000 kilobyte per second. This is what was overall available every search I did. Of course, sometimes there were 4K available, but the majority of things had this rate. There was multiple dead finds. So, for example, I queued torrents and it simply never loaded, even though we had the seeders. The seeders were either seeding at extremely low rates, so I consider them dead finds. And there were basic audio channels. What I mean is there were maybe 2.1, 2.0 or 3.1 channels, but nothing fancy with this. And the content was overall only on English. There was very little foreign language available. If we go over to Usenet, every search gave me about 200 NZB available. But the difference here is you got to understand that even if I get like 30 results, or maybe I get like a million results, if none of those results, there's seeders to send me that files, it doesn't matter if I get 30 or a million, it's just not happening, right? On Usenet, what's happening, you're getting 200 results. Of course, some of them are going to be down for DMCA or for other reasons, but you only need one here to be working because if you have one working, you have your provider sending you the entirety of the file. So there were much more results on Usenet on average. Most of the content I could find could be easily 4K, 2K, 4K. Also, the bitrate was amazing. You have 3.4 gigabyte per hour, about 7,000 kilobytes per second. And if you care about the quality of the content you're looking at, you really want a higher bitrate, okay? Me personally, I find that 1 gigabyte per hour is very low if I'm sharing this content with friend, if I'm having friend over, if we're watching it on a big screen on a TV, uh, this is I'm uncomfortable at this level. All right, this quality is really mediocre. This is much more interesting. You really have a sharp quality. And again, this isn't the maximum I could find. This is just what I got on average. There were some then finds, of course, and on audio channel, everything was available. You had 7.1, you had really high audio channels available, high quality, and multiple language. You had a lot of files where you had English, but also French, German, and plenty of other language available for each of files that we're looking for. So when I set up my experiment and I downloaded those files, which is the result I've shown you before, this is the bare minimum, okay? And again, it got 122 of the bare minimum content. And I gotta admit that at those bit rate right now, okay, at 1 gigabyte per hour, it's barely cutting it, okay? For me personally, I don't even consider it quality at this point. I'm almost ashamed to having viewed any content at this quality. This is very mediocre quality. If you compare it to Usenet, what I did is I seen what is available in 4K for the same 130 files, and you can see 102 were available in 4K, and for torrent it's 24, and even then it's 24, but how many of them were available to be fully downloaded? I'm really not sure. I'm sure it's far from 24. So the content and quality on Usenet is really amazing. I've made a little ranking here. I'm giving Usenet 5 stars, and I'm giving torrents 2 stars. The reason for 2 stars is, at the end of the day, you're getting some files, right? You're getting content, even though this content is of much lower quality. The next thing I want to compare is the download speed. For torrents, I downloaded 815 gigabyte at 5 megabyte per second on average. Some 4K files that were downloading at 250 kilobyte per second, it took 3 days, and it ran me about 46 hours of runtime to download everything. On torrents, I had 1.5 terabyte. I had, well, more quality, so the files are bigger, but it downloaded at 110 megabytes per second. This was fully saturating my 1 gigabits per second connection. I was actually the bottleneck. The Usenet providers was giving me as much speed as I could handle, and it gave me a 4-hour runtime. I rank my Usenet experience as a 5 stars. This is extremely fast, and I rank my torrent as a 1 star. If you want a file, you want to watch a movie, and you're queuing it, you're gonna get it in 3 days. For me, this is unacceptable, and yeah, this is not working. This is not against the people that were sending to me. I want to give it a special shout out to them. Thanks for sending me the files. It's just that the overall system for me was slower than straight up Usenet. When we compare time, as I said on my role play, it's a tech savvy person, so initial setup, everything was already set up. I compare like the time it took to monitor the fail, the requeue, the monitor. As I said, this was over several days, so maybe like 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there, searching on tracker, requeuing, monitoring the download, if it failed or not. This took me a fairly bit of time, and you know, of the hours that were downloading, I had to check, is it seeding correctly, is it downloading correctly, and whatnot. So it's really not that fun. And sometimes my torrents were blocking at like 95%. So you're like, oh, do I wait for it to finish or do I requeue another one? So that was really not a fun experience, to be honest. Again, the Usenet, it's the same setup, so no time involved there. It took me like 10 minutes over the 4 hours to see the fail, the requeue, and monitor the whole experience. That was extremely fast. And I'm giving Usenet 5 stars, and I'm giving torrents 3 stars. Overall, 130 over a few days. Again, I said like 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there. It's not the end of the world. It's just, it's not the best experience in the world. The next thing I want to compare is the price, and this is very interesting because I always assumed, and I think everybody online assumed, that Usenet is more expensive. So when I started my experiment, I thought about it, and I did not want to download 130 files and download and seed those files without a VPN. With everything that's happening in the world, I wanted to be safe to make sure that there was going to be no issues. So I did get a VPN. I got it for $3 a month, about 25 costs for because it ran for a few days, but really it's $3 a month. Okay. And when it came to Usenet, which is supposed to be more expensive, when I add my provider and my indexer cost, they also cost me $3 a month. So at the end of the day, the cost is equal. And I gave Usenet 4 stars and 5 stars torrent. I will explain you why. It's because the torrent, when you go with torrents, you have a VPN, but VPN can be multi-use. I'm not going to tell you exactly how you're going to multi-use your VPN, but this is interesting. The Usenet, some providers will include a VPN, but it's not the same. The VPN I've tested on provider is okay, but I'd rather go with a dedicated VPN provider. For the next point, it's about seeding. On Torrent, I have to seed back at least 115 gigabyte at low speed. I need my ratio to be 1, of course. I think it's the basic thing when you're torrenting. And I want to upload as fast as I can, but the files I got, maybe they're not popular. I'm not too sure, but I'm not hitting like high upload speed, so it's going to take me a while. And on Usenet, there's absolutely no seeding. And I'm giving 5 stars for Usenet and only 1 star for Torrent because you got to understand the difference. I'm not a lawyer and this isn't legal advice, but again, when you're torrenting and you're seeding the information to tens and thousands of people, that can get you in trouble. Also on Usenet, since you're not seeding, you don't have to keep hardware up. You don't need hard drives to be spinning. You don't need to monitor those. You don't need to worry about your upload ratio and whatnot. So really, for me, no seeding is a huge bonus for Usenet. And I have a couple of extras really quickly on torrents. When you're going with semi-private uh, tracker or private tracker, you need to create emails and accounts, and it's not the best, honestly. Those trackers need to make money somehow, so are they selling your information? They run ads and whatnot, so it's okay. And that software are good and simple. On Usenet, the security, since you're paid account, the provider and indexers do not need to make money on you with shady way. You're simply a paying user, so they don't need to screw you over to make like an extra buck on you. So I feel like security, they're both the same, but Usenet is a little bit better. And again, the software are good and simple. I'm not putting any stars here because I think it's very simple points. I'm just saying it. I have compiled a summary of my results. And overall, Usenet is winning hands down. Okay. The only thing that is advantageous for torrents is the VPN, but as I said, at the end of the day, you're paying $3 on each. So really, when you think about it, Usenet is the way to go if you want good quality files. Even if you want fast, low quality file, Usenet will saturate your internet connection. I gotta admit that I was surprised with the results of Usenet. I didn't think I was gonna get as much content as I did. So 122, as I said, I gotta admit it's higher than what I thought. And overall, for the 4K, really the torrent was a complete failure. So if you enjoy 4K, never go torrent. And yeah, I really think Usenet is overall the best experience. So that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe. I'm going to post more content like this, and leave a comment if you have suggestion on what the next video should be. I read every comment, and I'm going to link at the bottom of this video a few videos for you if you're new to Usenet. I have really good information on my channel. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye bye.